Suddenly focused rational reflection.
Here.
Yeah.
Come on, Clive.
What?
I want to know about that lot.
Well, I told you, it's a business deal.
What kind of a deal? I want to know.
What for? What's it matter? You think I stole it or something?
I have a right to know.
Oh? By virtue of what exactly?
I own this house. I have a right to know what's going on.
I helped some friends to make a profit. That's my share.
Friends of that Pete?
Yes.
Oh, what kind of a man is he?
Oh, no, not woman's intuition time. I told you, he's in antiques. He goes to auctions. Drives round the country. Sometimes he buys for himself, sometimes he acts for friends in the trade. He had a private sale on at Dorking, and I thought I might help him out.
To do what exactly?
Well, bid for certain lots. Oh, hang on. 60 quid I owe you. Returned as promised. And a fiver interest.
I'm not a moneylender.
Well, you lent me money.
You're an awful child, Clive. You are, really.
Easy come, easy go, I guess.
I hate it if you got mixed up in anything, you know.
Look, there's this sale at someone's private house. The old fellow that died was interested in China. And West End dealer, friend of Pete, saw something at the viewing day that he fancied, so he sent Pete down to bid for it.
Well, why didn't he go himself?
I don't know. Expect he was busy. He's too well known in the trade. If he'd been there, all the noses would have started twitching. So Pete takes me along to start the bidding and then drop out. So it looks as though nobody's much interested.
For that, he gives you all that money?
Yeah. Well, usually there's a bit more to it.
Like what exactly?
Well, some other dealer might have hold of the bidding and won't let go.
Well, and then what happens?
Pete has a word with him.
Do you mean threaten?
No, nothing like that.
Well, like what, then?
Oh, God, you do not want to know a lot, don't you?
Look, is there something you don't want to tell me?
No.
Well, then.
Well, if it is another dealer, Pete tips him a wink that we might be able to do business afterwards.
If he stops bidding?
Yeah. But it works if all he's in it for is the profit. But if it's the article he particularly wants, then of course you've had it.
Well, what does happen afterwards?
Well, you go round to the local, take a private room and re-auction it. Knock it out to the highest bidder and everyone takes a share of the difference.
But that's called a ring.
Yes. Yes, I believe it is.
But it's illegal.
So's parking on the yellow line.
But it's stealing. Why don't you care about that?
It's up to the auctioneers to know their business, isn't it? If they fail to recognise a 400-year-old Chinese jar and knock it out for 75 quid, that's their lookout.
Well, what about the owner?
Should have had the stuff valued, shouldn't they? Put a reserve on it. Never give a sucker an even break.
Is that how you treat people? When you don't need them?
It's a cold, hard world, love.
You think you know people?
And then you find you don't.
What did you need my money for? For 60 quid?
Oh, speculating on my own account. Hang on. Oh, where is it? Ah, here we are. For you.
What is it?
Well, open it. Oh, me. Sorry.
Clive.
You like him?
That part of the spoils?
No, no. Bought it fair and square. For you.
Thank you.
Is that all you're going to say?
What am I supposed to say?
Well, show some enthusiasm.
For what?
Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? I'll buy you something, think you might like it. I just will not have bothered.
Oh, what does it mean, Clive, beyond a beery gesture you thought would make everything all right?
You're being quite a today. You know that, don't you?
Perhaps I am. I don't know, I really don't know.
Now, come on, I want to know what you mean.
Don't do that!
Now, you've said too much not to go on. Now, come on, what's eating?
You are! You think you can get away with anything and then smart me along with a china ornament.
Oh, well, if that's all that's bothering you, it's soon cured.
Don't do that!
People behave like they're treated.
What's that supposed to mean?
Think about
Mr Pumphrey?
Yes.
Oh, will you go out?
Yes, I will, thank you.
Room?
Good afternoon, Mr. Lesley.
Yes.
This is Stanley Freeman.
Oh, pleased to meet you.
Stanley is a specialist in his field.
Oh, are you Mr. Freeman?
That's right.
Wildlife.
Oh, that's interesting, isn't it, Harry?
Oh, yes. What's the fee?
Ah, yes. We didn't touch on that, did we?
May I...
Oh, yes, do. Put it on the table.
We don't usually pay a fee as such. It's more an honorarium.
You can't feed a horse on an honorarium. And I won't say that again.
What?
We'd have got a laugh with that. And you said what, just like George would have done. We'd have played around with that for a couple of minutes. We'd have had them rolling in the aisles.
Really?
Yeah, really. How much?
10
10 what?
pounds.
Sure you would have said sovereigns.
We could push it to 20. Okay?
Don't strain yourself.
Who is it?
It's only me, dear.
Is there something wrong?
Oh, no, his lordship's holding a press conference, so I thought I'd better remove myself.
Well, I was just having a cup of tea. Would you...
Oh, that is kind. Nothing I'd like more.
Good.
Okay, now, Michael, you can carry on.
Going on, then. Mr. Lesley, when you first started, who were the artistes you most looked up to?
Oh, well, there were so many of them, weren't there? I mean, it was the heyday of the musical.
But was there one, or some, whose style you particularly aspired to follow?
Well, you have to model yourself on somebody, don't you, first?
Well, who was your model, Mr. Lesley?
Oh, I think without a doubt, Ronnie Hutchinson.
What year would that be about?
What year? You don't know who I'm talking about, do you?
Well, I can't say the name's familiar to me, no.
No, I bet it isn't, son.
What was so particular about his acts?
Well, he was doing comedy sketches when some of them were just walking on and just doing their piece. Stand-up comics, female impersonators, conjurers, singers.
A bit like Harry Tate.
He was Harry Tate. Born Hutchinson. Worked for Tate and Lyle. You see, that's where he got his name from. I first saw him at the end of the war, 1919. I remember sitting up in the gods looking down at him at the Coliseum.
You said earlier you had a deadpan act.
That's right, yes. That came from me being a ventriloquist, you see. And I kept the style, sort of thing, when I joined up with George Lane.
What kind of vent act was it?
Well, I had this clown dummy, you see, And he used to say outrageous things, and I'd try and keep him in order.
Do you remember his name?
Oh, yes. Claude. That was Claude the Clown, yes. He used to sing songs and all sorts.
How long did you go on with this act?
Oh, 10 years.
Same act?
Oh, yes.
That's a long time.
Hardly any time at all. I mean, you worked out a routine, perfected it, and if the audience liked it, what do you want to alter it for?
I don't see the need for it, certainly.
There was no need, son. I mean, a good act lasts you the whole of your working life. Until that, get through material like grass through a bloody goose. That's the trouble with the world today, that instant entertainment, instant opinions, instant everything. No wonder nothing lasts. Even George Robey couldn't last a season on that. Not even the Prime Minister of Mirth himself.
Could I just bring you round?
Responsible for a lot, that is. Violence, VD.
Mr. Lesley, sure.
I'm serious, young man. I mean, there may have been poverty and crime, but there was a sense of right and wrong. I mean, people nowadays, they don't seem to know the difference.
Could I ask you now about your relationship with George Lane?
That's all you ever get in there. Violence and sex.
Can you hold it there while I put on another tape?
Worst thing that ever happened.
Why do you have it, then?
Why do you think I have it? I like watching it.
I don't often get the chance to talk to people. Sometimes during the day, not at all.
But I thought your husband worked at home.
Yes, he does.
Oh, I know what you mean. When there's a man in the house, you scarcely dare utter.
It's not really that.
No, dear?
No. You see, the problem is...
Oh, well, thank you for the tea. I'd better go and see what's going on upstairs.
Well, come and see me again, won't you?
Yes, I'd like to.
I'm sorry.
I believe you first met George Lane at the Metropolitan Edgware Road.
That's right.
About 1925, wasn't it?
Look, I've told you all this once.
Yes, Mr. Lesley. Could we just go through it again, please, for the recording? Please?
The autumn of 1925.
And as a result of that fortuitous meeting, one of the great double acts of music hall was born. How long were you and George Lane together, Mr. Lesley?
Almost 30 years.
Now, I'm going to do my bits properly when I assemble my program. It'll be something like, in the waning years of a great theatrical tradition, one of its brightest lights was born. Lesley and Lane, always to be thought of together, like bread and butter, beer and skittles. Alas, George Lane, that great clown, died some years ago in Torquay. But today, on the 80th anniversary of his birth...
Friday.
What?
Friday. Next Friday would have been 80.
Yes, but the program goes out on Friday, okay?
Friday, that's it.
Fine. Okay, fine. But today, on the 80th anniversary of his birth, we ask his old partner for some recollections of that great entertainer.
Yes, well, after that first meeting that they met, we joined forces, and our first engagement was at the Granville, Walham Green, Dan Leno's old hall.
Were you right from the start, the sad one, and he the funny one?
Oh, yes.
I've heard it said that George only had to come on and say pepper, and the audience would fall about laughing. Is that true?
Yes.
What was his great secret? What was it that made him so irresistibly funny?
Well, it's difficult to say.
Well, what sort of a man was he?
He was a selfish, vicious...
It's his birthday, and he's a legend. You just can't say that.
Why not, if it's true?
Look, Mr. Lesley, don't get me wrong. You knew him, I didn't. But is it perhaps something personal?
They were my songs, my jokes. I did the work. He propped up the bar. Some mornings he'd come in so wouldn't know what town we was in.
Yes, but surely that
Don't
doesn't
me, young man. I carried him. For years I carried him. And now, who do they remember? George Lane.
You insist on saying that?
I do.
Then we can't use the material.
That's right.
After all this effort, you're telling us to drop it.
Yes, you better pack up your things.
If you cut out all reference to George Lane, just made it music hall in general, you'd still have a program.
What about it, Mr. Lesley?
No.
What are your views, Mrs. Lesley?
You talk to me or you talk to no one, young man.
Well, we'll just have to use what we've got.
Use any of that, and I'll obtain an injunction.
Oh, well, please,
You
sir.
agreed to my terms.
Yes, but I didn't expect...
You didn't expect the truth. All you wanted was showbiz pep.
Well, sorry you feel that way, Mr. Lesley.
I've said all I'm going to.
Goodbye, Mr. Lesley.
I'll come down with you.
Mrs. Lesley, thank you. If he changes his mind, do give me a ring.
He won't.
George Lane, the best loved performers on the halls. It's scarcely believable.
It's not true, you know, what Harry said about him.
You mean he didn't drink?
Not like that, he didn't. He was far too considerate of others.
Why?
Why? Harry never liked him.
You just never know about people, do you? Look, I hate to lose the whole program. Is there any of his family I could get in touch with?
There's a son in Australia and a daughter in America.
Ah, yes. I seem to recall there's a widow. Do you know where I could find her?
You've already found her, Mr. Pumphrey. Goodbye.
Why?
I just don't want to be engaged to you anymore, that's all.
That's all. Yesterday the pink dress, today the blue. Simple as that,
Look,
eh?
I don't think there's much future in discussing it.
Oh, but I want to discuss it. I think I'm entitled to. Now, come on.
Go! I just don't believe in it anymore, that's all.
In what? Explain yourself.
In our engagement.
Oh, great. What a declaration of independence that is.
I think we've come to expect too much of each other.
What you mean is I've come to expect too much of you. That's it, isn't it?
Perhaps.
So I've overstepped the mark, have I?
We both have.
No. In what way have you? I mean, I can understand how I might have behaved badly. I do most of the time. That's me, the bloke you agreed to marry. But I'm interested to know how you think you've gone wrong.
Look, I don't want to get into a slanging match, Clive.
Oh, no, no, if we're going to be honest. Or don't you want to be honest?
We've become a convenience to each other. A habit. Take each other for granted. Me as much as you.
Well, that's all that's troubling you. Let's start again.
Oh, Clive, it's not possible.
Rubbish. People can't change their ways.
You can't wipe out the past.
Oh, God, another cliche rumbled down the aisle.
Well, it doesn't make it any the less true.
Look, now, if we were married, we'd have to adjust. People who are married have to.
But we're not married.
You're saying I can't change, aren't you?
I'm saying we don't have the right relationship to get married, whatever the reasons.
You're not thinking of a little thing called love, are you?
Well, perhaps I am. I'm sure it's not the same thing as you call love.
Now, come on, don't insult me.
No, I'm not trying to insult you. I don't want to hurt you. But I don't want to marry you.
What precipitated all this? Well, tell me.
It's just something I've been feeling.
Why today?
Because it had to be one day.
I owe you an apology. I've taken you for granted. I should have been more organised about it.
Organised about what?
Our wedding. I should have decided a date. I'm sorry. Let's decide now.
Are you serious?
Yes.
You think that's all you've got to do? Name a day and I'll come running. Simple as that.
What is it you want?
I used to think the expression male chauvinist pig was a piece of journalese. Now, no different.
The money, then?
No, not really.
You mean that's it? You want to call us a day?
Yes, afraid so.
Well, bit of a reversal of roles, isn't it?
Sorry?
Man getting the elbow.
International Women's Year.
I should sue you for breach of promise. Leading me on.
Sorry, Clive. There it is.
Wasn't because I smashed that dog, was it?
Clive, it isn't any one thing. It just won't work. Leave it at that.
Oh, but I want to get to the bottom of it. If I'm being turfed out of my ear, I want to understand why.
Stop going on about it like a dog at a bone. We're adults. Except that's the way I feel. I've done with it.
You know, there are times when one is forced to think how things really are. And this is one of them. I believe you're right. I don't think it would work. You have to show a bit of understanding, a bit of tolerance in marriage. I think you very probably couldn't stretch to it. No, don't say anything. I'll look for somewhere else. Straight away.
You're a wicked old sod.
Yeah, aren't I?
George never did you any harm. It wasn't just because of me, was it?
I got you in the end, though, didn't I?
Was it?
You'd like to think it was.
You know, George used to think a lot about you. He even mentioned you the day he died.
Oh, yeah?
He said you always disliked him because you saw in him what you would have liked to have been yourself.
Buffoon.
You know what he meant, Harry. You know very well. He was gentle and generous and understanding. He certainly understood you.
And do you agree with him?
Do you really want to know?
I wouldn't ask you if I didn't.
Yes. Yes, he was right.
What would you marry me for, then, if that's what you think?
Oh, Harry, I married you because of what you are, not in spite of. Oh, go and sit down. Have a cup of tea and forget all about it.